Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Film Threats, the YouTube channel. We are talking about South by Southwest. We are a day away from the festival ending. We've got a full team of writers who've been covering it. I've got two more movies to see today and tomorrow, and then we're done with South by Southwest. Clearly one of my favorite film festivals of the year. Wish I could have been there this year, but I'm not. But hey, let's talk about South by Southwest. I'm Alan Ning, editor-in-chief at Film Threat, and again, this is our South by Southwest wrap-up. Just a little bit of house cleaning. Be sure to like, subscribe, click that, smash that like button, comment. We've got the chat going, so yeah, join us. Let us know what you think of these films. Go to shop.filmthreat.com, buy some merch, help support what we do to help support independent film. And with that, let's bring in our crew here. Hey, Bobby.
What's going on?
Yay. And Michael. You got
your greetings.
Greetings. All right. So let's chat a little bit about South by Southwest. We've got a couple banners here. So I will say 2 years ago, first time I went to Sundance. Year before that was the first time I went to South by Southwest. I clearly had a lot more fun at South by Southwest. I will say the food is so much better in Austin than it is in Park City. But with that, I think the three of us are now considered veterans of South by Southwest. So we did this virtually. We weren't there. In terms of film quality and experience, do you feel like you got a good show out of South by Southwest this year? Bobby?
No. In 2019, we were both there in person, and that can't really be replaced, as we discussed on our previous live stream. But last year virtually was great. There were several movies I rewatched while the festival was still happening, whether, to really get certain things in my review before I wrote it, or just because I really loved the movie that much. Some of those movies have since been released, and I've watched them 2 or 3 times since then overall. This year, a handful of movies I liked, a lot of stinkers. A lot of things I thought were either bad or just not for me, including some of the short films. I didn't review any short films this time because I didn't find any I liked. This was a huge letdown for me. Yeah,
I mean, I'm feeling like, having done virtual film festivals for the last year and a half, 2 years, I feel like maybe watching it at home on whatever device or whatever television we have is kind of an impediment to whether we like it or not. I feel like we're more apt to like something when we're in that crowd with a full theater and sharing that experience together. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's truly the quality of the films?
I don't. I think it helps having that vibe, that energy. In 2019, I got to go see the new Pet Cemetery, and that whole crowd was great. Like what everyone thinks of the movie, that experience of seeing it with that crowd at its premiere, and the writer and the director and some of the cast was there. Really fun experience. But last year had Recovery, which has a new name. Stop and Go, had The Spine of Night, had all these movies where I just got so wrapped up in the story and the characters. And here, there's been like 4. Last year, virtually, I reviewed 22 movies. I watched 22 movies. I reviewed 20 of them. And this year, I've probably seen around the same number of films, but I think I've only reviewed like 7 or 8.
Oh, wow. Okay. Michael, what about you?
Huge drop off.
Yeah. All right. Michael, what's your experience been? Did it meet your expectations?
Well, honestly, like South by Southwest, it's always going to be the way it was back in the 90s, where you're eating Tex-Mex on Congress while listening to Iggy Pop perform for free, literally 1 block down the street. like sitting out on the patio and, like on the sidewalk, music just ringing all around you. Take the party out of South by Southwest. You're not talking the same experience. So honestly, I would just have to go on the quality of the films. And a lot of the films that they selected were absolutely spectacular. However, there were some that did get through that were somewhat less spectacular. I've already complained about the blocking on the screenings, where you're only allowed 48 hours at a certain point to watch the screenings. I do understand that where it comes to premieres, but at the same time, the whole only having 2 days to watch something, and if you hear about how good it was after that 2 days, you can't see it. Like, plus also the amount of films that you have access to online without having access to some of the more premieres of the movies that are coming out quicker in the theaters. Like, I wasn't able to see X, or I didn't see an online way to see X, and here that is playing at the art house down the street. I would have loved to have seen that, but there's only certain movies that are allowed online. So with the scarcity of the movies listed online, the lack of the parties, and the corralling of how you have to go ahead and watch them, as a virtual fest, South by Southwest is not a world-class virtual experience the same way it is in person. But South by Southwest is going to have a larger challenge than most film festivals in order to try to create an online experience that can match it, because South by Southwest is totally a party.
Yeah. I will agree. I had, not that I go to film festivals for the parties, but the parties are pretty cool. I went to the Church of the Subgenius party last time, and that was pretty incredible. Missed opportunity. Just the meat alone is great. But yeah, I mean, you brought up the tough thing. We didn't have access to the big studio films, and I get it. They don't want to put it on streaming before it comes to theaters, and they would much rather you watch it in the theater and not be part of the whatever package you bought through South by Southwest. So there are I know there's a lot of films. We wanted to see the Michelle Yeoh movie, which for the life of me I can't remember the exact title of it, so I don't want to screw it up that way. Hey, just real quick, we got some chat here. Chris Gore, he says, can't wait to hear about the movies. Yeah, we're getting to it. Here's the here's the Michelle Yeoh movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, we are going to see that Wednesday, and we will be talking about that on our live cast on Friday. So be sure to join us for that. Yeah, I said seeing it on Wednesday, and yeah, A24. This is the interesting thing about the movies that are showing up now. A24's got a good presence there, but I think what's coming through festival films right now, or festivals, are the movies made during COVID or have been severely affected by COVID. And I think this year and next year, we're going to see a lot of those movies. And then hopefully the year after that, we're going to see more, what we're used to in terms of films, bigger casts, bigger budgets, not having to do a lot of workarounds. So here we go. Alan, no one wants to sit next to you at the movies. That's right.
I want to sit next to you, Alan.
You would. There was I went to see The Lost City yesterday, and there was a woman who was very vocally insistent that she didn't want to sit next to me for whatever reason. I appreciate the fact that she didn't try to hide her feelings from her friend, and that I got to hear the entire conversation. So there we go. Let's talk about movies. So Bobby, you were fortunate enough to see some of the jury winners.
I did.
Why don't we talk about? We didn't talk about last time, but It Is in All Us.
Yes,
is that right?
It is in us all. I know you just heard me complain that the quality wasn't good, but the movies that were good, in my opinion, I really did love, and this is one of them. It is. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's a strange, dramatic thriller. It was written and directed by Antonia Campbell Hughes, And Cosmo Jarvis plays a guy who's heading to his deceased mom's hometown after his aunt dies to take care of that estate. Winds up in a car accident, not his fault, but the other driver dies. The passenger in that car becomes sort of obsessed with him, and he becomes obsessed with figuring out what drew his family to this town. And that makes it sound way more simple than it actually is. It's really weirdly haunting. It's one of those movies I don't want to give out too much away, so I'm trying to be very vague. So if this doesn't sound coherent, I apologize. But it's very absorbing. Cosmo Jarvis, as the main character, is spectacular. He's a really nuanced, subtly angry performance. It's really interesting. And despite only having brief mentions here or there and a few scenes between his mom, his dad, and the aunt, you get a really great sense of his home life and what that was like growing up. It was really intense and interesting in that way.
I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, do you know which award it won?
I do not. I do know it won one of them, but I could look that up real quick. Hold on. Yeah. The power of the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will say Cosmo Jarvis is a name not a lot of people know about, but he appears in almost every film festival I've been going to. He just shows up out of nowhere. Like you're watching a movie and there he is. And he's a very serious actor. He's got, I think he's got that kind of redneck look down well. And I'm always impressed by his work. Did you find that?
I am still looking for it. Here we are. Let's see. It won special jury recognition for extraordinary cinematic vision. Right. And it went to the entire cast and crew of It Is in Us All.
Okay, so do you agree with that? What do you think about it that makes this movie so great?
The directing and the sound design, just the basic stories, even if I were to get into spoilers, could have been handled in a much more straightforward, much more traditional dramatic fashion. But Campbell Hughes and all the people who helped her, the cinematographer, the editor, the cast, the entire cast, they want to make this a searing look at a broken man and what made him broken. So it's haunting in a way a traditional drama wouldn't be, and that's where the thriller aspect comes from. Mm-hmm. And they do a great job of representing the main character's emotional state in a visual way, which is also not something that always happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean that seems to be why it won the Visionary Award. All right. Zhang Hu, hi, greetings. And Robert Hannigan. This year I plan on going back to the movie theaters, especially after seeing Batman or The Batman. I want to be at the theater as much as possible. Yeah, I was at 2 movies yesterday. There's just no beating being in that theater. Even
I've been so busy this year, I've seen nothing in theaters.
Well, summer's coming. You got to do it. All right, Michael. Let's see. Let's talk about The Cow.
Ooh, yeah, I'm having a cow over The Cow. Boy, I loved that movie. What's really important about The Cow is that, like now Generation X, as it's aging, instead of doing the boomer thing where they basically deny the aging process by putting actors from the generation up, like Robert Redford or Jack Nicholson, who, like even when they're aging, they're still, like young and full of life and showing, no, we're in our 50s, but we're not aging. Like this one has icons from Generation X, mainly Winona Ryder and Dominic McNorrie, who, are going ahead and are actually being in a movie about aging and showing themselves as folks who have aged. I remember it took Nicholson decades before he'd actually play, like an actual old person. When my dad saw like about Schmidt. He was horrified to see Jack Nicholson, who had always been, like the young guy driving the car with his feet with sunglasses on in the middle of the night, like is suddenly playing an old man. But here, Winona Ryder, in the, like in the very first like 10 minutes of the movie, she takes a moment to look up into a rear view mirror to look at the lines in her face. And it's just sort of like, and it hammers it in throughout the whole thing. We are starting to get old, and here's a movie that's brave enough to be about it. It's a very modern situation, though. We are talking the double booked Airbnb. You drive out for hours into the woods, you show up at the cabin, and suddenly there's already a couple already there saying, well, we booked this cabin. So that's the setup. Kath and Max are up from the city into the woods. There is Al and Greta who are already at the cabin. They say, like Al says, leave. Greta says, come on, let's let them stay the night. And so, like Max and Al and Greta stay up the night playing board games and drinking beers, while Kath, who had to drive the whole way, turns in early. Next morning, Kath wakes up, nobody in the house. And so she, goes out and she finds Al crying in the woods, and Al says, your boyfriend Max and Greta ran off together last night, and there's no sign of either one of them. And so she heads back to the city, and she doesn't hear from Max, but something just doesn't seem right, particularly since a particular possession of Max's that he treasured was just left behind at the cabin. And so she tries to call the owner of the cabin to try to get some information about Greta, the woman that Max ran off with. And Barlow, who owns the cabin, doesn't really feel comfortable giving out that information. So she makes up a story that, she left a book behind. And so he agrees to come into the city to go ahead and pick up the book. And that's when she meets Barlow, who turns out to be this genius bioengineer who walked away from a multi-million-dollar deal because his father dies of a genetic disease, which Barlow then just goes off the grid and moves into a cabin to spend his life trying to research how to solve the genetic disease, which he feels is going to go ahead and take a hold of him. When Barlow finds out what Kath is really trying to do, he can sympathize, and they start working together to try to sort of get some further information or hunt down where Greta is located. Now, in the meantime, we start getting flashbacks showing what the boyfriend Max was up to when he wasn't with Kath previously, and all the shenanigans he's been up to, and we get a lot more insight into the whole renting of the Airbnb and actually what did happen over there. And so you get flashbacks, real life, until the two join together. And so you get, about 2 acts of what I would say was a very insightful drama about the, the sweetness and the bitterness of life and the perils of aging. And then the third, we get straight into real wacko, sort of strange twist territory, where the whole thing turns into another genre. I can't say which one because unfortunately, even classifying the genre the third act appears in automatically gives way too much away. But it is, for a playing normal for that long, you really need a boss freak way of going ahead and making it worthwhile. And part of the trouble of reviewing a movie like this is you want to immediately classify it by what happens in the boss freak ending. And, unfortunately, that's going to give it away. But for a lot of people, why sit through the movie unless you knew all of the absolutely outrageous stuff that was going to be revealed at the end? Yeah. So, that's a little tricky. But honestly, the filler, which, where the movie pretends to be a normal movie until it goes ahead and springs on you, I loved the filler. I loved the reflections of getting older, and also some stuff very, particular to Generation X, like the whole entire, walking away from this giant thing in order to pursue something much more pure of a pursuit. And Ryder is wonderful. I need to go ahead and rewatch some of her earlier work because she's either matured a lot in terms of her craft, or she was always a lot better than I had given her credit for, because by the time Alien Resurrection came around, it kind of looked like she was just coasting, playing the same character movie after movie. But this one, she puts in the works. I mean, there is clockwork to this acting job that I was not expecting, and she really fills it on up and does a really magnificent job. So yeah, once again, I'm having a big brown cow over the cow.
Michael, let's be fair to a writer. It was Alien Resurrection. No one's doing a good job in that movie.
No, even the Delicatessen people. I mean, Delicatessen, City of Lost Children. What's the next movie? Oh, Alien Resurrection. You know, like there's a puppy at the end. You know,
You can't hold that one against her. Come on.
Even the alien was phoning it in. All right. Yeah. So I mean, it's good to hear. I find I mean, I don't know anything about Winona Ryder's personal life, but I would imagine, I think it's been a long time since I've heard her name in a film, let alone starring in a film. And you just get that sense. I think a lot of times when you're an actor and you've started it early in life, there's a point where you need to pull yourself out, kind of get your bearings back together, and then find a project that really, to get away from the lure of stardom and fame, and just to come back to the craft. And it sounds like The Cow is just exactly that for Winona Ryder.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, Dermot Mulroney, who, how can we not love him? Or is it Dylan McDermott? It's one of
no, it's not Dermot. It's Dermot Mulroney. It's just, see the size of that cock-a-doodle-doo? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I just saw him in Uma, and he's another actor who's getting older. I'm getting older too.
Yeah, and shows it in this movie. Very brave way of just representing yourself as, like getting old and getting gray and not trying to hide it at all. Very brave performances.
Yeah, he's very great in Uma as well. So there we go. So let me go next. We're going to talk about The Prank. Yeah, one thing I like about South by Southwest is that it's not as pretentious as Sundance can feel. And so, I think I kind of went on the light route this year and saw a lot of the comedies. The Prank was one of them. Let me grab my notes here. It's about these two high schoolers, Ben and Tanner. Ben is one of these kids who's kind of a prodigy, very smart, good at math and sciences, all the STEMs. And his teacher, played by Rita Moreno, finds out that he, I should say this. He's about to go to college. He just needs a good recommendation. While taking a test in Rita Moreno's class, she discovers that one of her students cheated. And she goes, well, rather than me just trying to figure out who's the one who cheated, I'm going to fail everybody in the class and until the person reveals themselves. And so now he's about to get a failing grade, and that's going to affect his college. And he goes to his friend Tanner, who's kind of a slack off. But she's really good at computers and social media. And so a kid goes missing, and Tanner uses the craft and the art of social media to cast suspicion toward Rita Moreno's teacher character, and so suddenly the town is flooded with all these memes and videos that Tanner had created, saying that maybe they had an affair and that she got rid of him, and so now they basically framed her, and she goes, well, people will figure it out ultimately. She's not going to get really she's not going to go to jail for this until she gets arrested for it. And now there's this trying to get out of this situation. They've dug themselves down this far hole that they need to get out. And so it's a very much a light comedy. And I think I kind of miss that. It's very smart. I do like the way it deals with social media, the power of social media, and how it can be used. It's almost like cancel culture, but you sometimes get the sense that that we are using social media as a weapon to frame innocent people, and this is the case there. And then, ultimately the movie plays out to its conclusion, which I can't say anything about because it is still a mystery. There's a kid missing, and then all of a sudden, Rita Moreno's husband dies in the movie, and there's suspicion around that now that could point to her, and so it just kind of it's this really weird teen thriller comedy, and again, this is. I like it because it's very bold in the choices it makes. And I always get the sense that if the big studios had gotten a hold of this movie, there'd be a bunch of checklists that they'd have to mark off. And somehow I feel like the studio has a way of getting in the way of creatives. And I like this movie because it does keep you off balance. I'll admit, I did kind of figure it out at the end. But I think the strength of this movie are the two lead characters, Ben and Tanner, played by Connor Kalopis and Ramona Young. So that's the prank. I'd say it'll probably show up on streaming at some point.
On balance, would you say it's more comedic than mystery thriller, or is it like 50-50 or what there?
Yeah, I think it's more on the story and the thriller end of it. I think the comedy comes in just the really good character development of Ben and Tanner. And I think that's the real appeal for me for this movie is, develop really good characters, and that's going to elevate your story. Find ways of adding dimension and dimension to your characters, and you're going to let your story go pretty far. Okay, let's see. Oh, Chris Gore says, "Hail Chad, hail Chad, hail Chris," and Holy Hand Grenade. What's up? Hey, we're reviewing movies from South by Southwest. Hey, we're gonna continue on here. Brad, welcome to the party.
Hey,
What's happening, Brad?
Your mic is not. Oh, you're on mute.
There you go. I don't want to make extraneous noise, but now I'll make actual noise.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, you just got here. So what we're gonna do is we'll go to Bobby on his next one, and then we'll come to you. So Bobby, I think you are. Oh yeah, this is the one I'm interested in. Hold on, we got one more comment. Jose Contreras. Hi, welcome, join the party. All right. So Bobby, this is the one that I think it won the big prize. Stars Patton Oswalt. It's I Love My Dad. Tell us about I Love My Dad.
Yes. I Love My Dad won the big prize here at South by Southwest, which is the grand jury prize. It is based on a real story that the writer, director, star James Morosini, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I do apologize if I'm not. That his dad actually did this to this man. In the movie, James plays a character named Franklin. His dad, throughout his entire life, has always been a cheater and a liar, breaks promises all the time, was never really there for him growing up. So after getting out of a sort of mental health group for attempting suicide, he's cut his dad off from social media entirely, not answering his dad's calls anymore. The dad is played by Patton Oswalt in the movie. And this drives the dad crazy. He in his own warped, weird, somewhat narcissistic way, he does love his son, and not having any form of contact with him is just something that this man can't deal with. So in a desperate, idiotic move, the father makes a fake Facebook profile based on a really nice waitress he met at a local diner. Bear in mind, Franklin and the dad live several states away, and begins catfishing his own son, and Franklin falls for this fake persona in a romantic sense. And it's about the ever-escalating, cringy things the Patton Oswalt father figure has to do to keep up the lie. They are supported by a supporting cast that includes Rachel Dratch, who has maybe never been better. She's delightful here. And the whole movie's centered on just the cringiest of the cringe. If you can't deal with that kind of thing, it's not going to be for you. But if you can, then you're going to get something strangely heartwarming and genuinely emotionally funny due to these characters.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I need to see this movie. This sounds incredible. I don't know why I didn't pick this up on while reading the description of it. I mean, did it catch you by surprise as well?
It starred Patton Oswalt, so it's like I need to watch it. I adore that man. He's had some really great dramatic turns in All Roads Lead Home is what I think that drama is called. Big fan, of course. Young adult, obviously. So any weird, darker turns for people like Jim Gaffigan or Patton Oswalt, I'm really interested in. I like seeing comedians do those sorts of things. So that's why I wanted to see it. I didn't really know anything about the story until I watched it. And then it unfolds and it just escalates itself in a natural but like insane way to where it's believable, but it's also like, what person thinks that's a good idea kind of way that just keeps the laughs coming until the drama and the heart-rendering ending happen. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, is he sort of kind of the evil with a heart? Is that the vibe I'm getting?
He's not even evil. The movie doesn't really judge him. He's desperate and he's lonely and he clearly just doesn't understand human interactions very well. This includes his current girlfriend, the Rachel Dratch character, who they are co-workers, is how they met. And he's not really good interacting with her either. So the movie's never judging her, judging him. It's very much about trying to, I think what Morricone is trying to do here is understand why his father did this. And that's really where the movie comes across. It's not mad at him. It's not angry at him. It's just watching him do this for reasons that are relatable, but taken to such an extreme, it becomes unrelatable.
Yeah. It's like you start, it's kind of like the prank where you do something for good intention, so to speak. And then what you've done is it now goes slowly out of control to the point where you can't shut the door anymore.
It is exactly like that. It is anchored by Oswalt and Morricone, who both give really fantastic performances. Without Patton Oswalt in this role, I don't think you would like the father. He makes him very likable, even when he's doing terrible, cringeworthy things that should make you dislike him, but you never actually do. And then Franklin really brings sort of broken, but still wanting the character's broken, but he still has a zest for life that he's trying to find. And I think Morricone really gets that across in a way that doesn't feel hammy.
Yeah.
And Patton Oswalt's just everywhere. He's just everywhere you turn, you see something that's got Patton Oswalt either in it or you hear him. He had a voice part in a couple episodes ago of the new Picard series. So, and I love him. He's great.
All right. Well, yeah.
Picard series?
Yep.
All right.
Is it good?
On Paramount Plus. It's quite good. Yeah.
Well, hasn't he been doing a bunch of Star Trek stuff, or am I imagining this?
He did. Yep.
Okay. All right. Hey, Fletcher. Hail, Fletcher. Hail, Chad. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Brad. Let's move on to you. You are going to talk about A Lot of Nothing.
A Lot of Nothing. It's a film directed by a filmmaker named Mo McRae, who's probably best known for a part he played in Sons of Anarchy. Young black filmmaker. He's working a little bit with themes from there. It's clearly he's influenced by Spike Lee and also maybe a little bit of Jordan Peele in this piece. This is one of those edge of your seat films that you simply do not know exactly what's going to happen for the whole movie. And it's also a dark comedy with some socially relevant commentary. And the plot begins with this affluent black couple watching television on the news one night, and they see yet another story about a young man being shot and killed by a police officer. And they realize with great horror that the police officer is their next door neighbor. And so then the man wants to talk to his wife about, like, what can we do? Should we say something? Should we approach this guy? The courts will take care of him, but really we should speak out. And then she sort of runs with that in a big way. And there's sort of a Lady Macbeth aspect to her, where she's urging him to take more action than perhaps he's actually ready to take. And the film twists and turns. She actually confronts the man on his front yard, and he tells her, I want you to get out of my yard, get off my property, that sort of thing. And so her husband goes over to smooth this over. They both work for a legal firm, so there are things like the publicity of the legal firm to take into consideration, social media. They don't want to get famous. And so the man goes to talk to the police officer, and he again says, get off my property, get away from me. And that's when she pulls out a handgun and frog marches the guy into her garage and tapes him to a lawn chair. And then now they're like, okay, we've crossed a line. What are we going to do now? And the rest of the film is about what do they do now? And as I said, it twists and turns. It's never dull. You never know what the ending is going to be until the very, very end of the film. And the director, Mo McRae, has a fantastic career ahead of him, because he really pulls you into the film. He makes you care about and sympathize with every character, not just the obvious good guy, bad guy roles. And he's got a lot to say, and he says it beautifully. So I think this film will definitely get picked up, and I think you're going to hear a lot about this film in the next year or so.
Wow, that's another one. Says it's a comedy.
It's funny. It has funny moments, but it's also got some fairly intense stuff in it too.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a little trend in the movies we're reviewing. It's this idea of crossing that line.
Yeah.
Wanting to, either to do something good or affect a certain result, and by crossing that line, you see how quickly, your actions can get out of hand, can go out of control. And again, not being able to shut the door on what happens afterwards.
And the Jordan Peele part of it is that you about from the middle of the film on, you literally have no idea where it will go. It's amazing in that way.
Yeah, I mean that's the best. That's the best movies, when you don't know where you're going. Yeah. Let's see, Audio. Here we go. Picard is not good. I've heard very mixed things about it. Yeah, some people like it, some people don't. I've not yet been able to see it. All right, let's see. These movies sound very interesting. I love the indie film coverage here. Well, thank you. That's why we're here. Like I said, I think the thing you're gonna get, and I've out of South by Southwest and a lot of these film festivals, is storytelling that's not influenced by money. That's not influenced by the big studios, but just the ability to tell that bold story. And filmmakers now have access to be able to make these stories. They have access to the resources to do it. And I think that's why, I think that's why I just get the sense that the big studio films are becoming more bland. They're too safe. They're just not willing to take risks anymore. Let me see. Well, at that point, they'd have no choice but to kill and eat him. That's right. If you have someone down in your basement, it comes down to cannibalism. Yes, eat him. Yeah, there's a whole discussion going on in the chat right now. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Michael. Let's see. Was it Softly and Quietly, or was it Lover Beloved?
Softly and Quietly.
Okay, let's talk about Softly. Yeah, we've already talked about the other one, and we'll save that for another day.
Softly and Quietly. Well, there is one studio that is willing to take risks, but it's because they operate on such a low budget that they can afford to, and that of course would be Blumhouse. Blumhouse is presenting Softly and Quietly, which honestly was it's probably the scariest modern horror movie I've seen since Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, in terms of locking you into a movie with some of the most unpleasant characters you could ever want to go ahead and meet. Back when I was a kid, there was this big thing about daring someone to see a horror movie, like, oh, we dare you to sit through Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or you're watching Last House on the Left. You just keep telling yourself, it's only a movie, it's only a movie. But in this one, it's a little hard to say it's only a movie, because the subject matter that they're doing, unfortunately, is not only a movie. What we have here is it opens on up with a second grade teacher who is going ahead and is heading off to the church to meet up with her women's group, and she's gone ahead and baked a pie that's wrapped in foil. And when she shows up at the woman's group, she unwraps the pie, and it's a cherry pie with a swastika carved in it. Yeah, we get to go ahead and spend about an hour and a half in an Aryan teddy bear's picnic. It is absolutely excruciating as a horror movie. The woman who wrote and directed this did an absolutely brilliant job of being able to, go ahead and take what looks like a budget of absolutely nothing, no special effects of really of any sort. Everything is done with, just purely with acting and with script and with setup. But imagery like the cherry pie with the swastika carved in it really does go ahead and bring across the whole theme of the film, where there is a lot of white supremacists out there who are presenting a very soft and inviting and non-threatening exterior in order to quietly infiltrate the mainstream with the, racial genocidal ideas that they like to go ahead and move with. Then, of course, this is a movie where people's intentions, when put into place, something gets out of control. And that's what happens when they go ahead and they stalk two sisters who all they see is that they're not white, and they go ahead and they stalk them, and the intimidation and home invasion goes terribly wrong. Things get out of control. I would put the home invasion sequence in this movie up against the one in Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is, of course, the scariest part of Henry, is when you get there watching the videotape of the home invasion. I would put this home invasion up against that in terms of just absolutely excruciatingly horrifying stuff going on. The white supremacists are, like very scary monsters to have in a horror movie. I'm sure as heck not going to see too many, of them on lunch boxes right there. You go with your white supremacist lunchbox to school because you watch the, the horror movie, doesn't have the Dracula, doesn't have the Frankenstein, as the scary white supremacist. Nah, I'm not going to see too much merchandising in connection with this, but for horror fans who just feel like stuff isn't scary enough, or people who really do appreciate just how horrifying modern horror can be. The woman who wrote and directed this did an absolutely magnificent job, and joins the roster of very talented very talented women who are directing low budget horror features right now, which we just see more and more and more of, and Blumhouse seems to be one of the outlets to give a voice to.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right in terms of Blumhouse and their bold storytelling. I'm intrigued by this movie. So let me understand right. It's the lead character Emily. She bakes the pie, and she brings it to a party that you would expect that pie to be at. So it's a white supremacist party, right?
It's a white supremacist party.
And then where does the home invasion part come in?
When they go on out to when they leave the church to go out to pick up some wine to continue the little Aryan get together over at the teacher's house. When they're at the store, two sisters come on in to buy some wine as well. They're not white, and immediately all of the Nazi women start piling up on them right there. And when they go ahead and are able to escape the store, they get this idea that would be a wonderful thing to go ahead and follow them back to where they live, and when they're not in the house, to go ahead and mess things up in the house. Of course, like during the home invasion, they actually come home and things, like get out of control and things get very, very, very ugly. The whole movie is one of those that's looks like it's done in one take. And while that may seem like a gimmick with other movies, with this movie, it is incredibly effective in terms of making you feel like that you are following, not only are trapped in this world, but that you feel the events just slowly get more and more and more out of control and more ugly around you. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I'm looking at the description here and saying it plays out in real time. So
yes,
I don't know if it's a one shot, but it's no cuts.
Well, they don't interrupt the takes, is what I said. It's maybe there is hidden edits in there where they're joining the takes, but it looks like it's all done in one shot.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. This is pretty incredible. Let's see. Audio says sounds like Blumhouse has some good flicks. I enjoyed Insidious, Paranormal Activity. Looking forward to The Black Phone. Yeah, here's another one. Uma is also a Blumhouse film. That one, yeah. I mean, I think I the sense I'm getting is, they're, it does surround the horror genre, but they're not locking themselves into a certain type of horror. Uma is a kind of a family horror, so to speak. This one, yeah, definitely social justice going on here. Also, women-led project. So there we go. Any other thoughts from anyone else?
Michael, I was wondering if are the Nazi women presented sympathetically at all, or are they over the top? Like my curiosity is there any segment of an audience that would watch this and go, well, yeah, of course they did that?
I was wondering about that because honestly, in the beginning, I could see that like a segment of the audience, though it's very, I would think it'd be pretty unlikely that a white supremacist would go to watch this film. But like in the beginning, they go ahead and they present themselves quite honestly, but not in an over-the-top manner, more of a way to where they present a sweet exterior, but what they're saying is absolutely awful. But in terms of, like anyone who would actually be on their side in the beginning, by the time you get to the end, I don't think there's going to be anyone who's going to be on their side because of the way that their own poisoned ideas go ahead and take them into situations where they have no choice but to get turned more and more and more into monsters. And that's honestly the slippery slope you're dealing with when you're dealing with white supremacy, because even though there's little tiny steps right there, it always ends up in genocide.
Yeah, always ends up in genocide. That's
that's the name of the sequel.
Yeah. All right. We got some comments here. Any outstanding performances? Any place you enjoy the food? Yeah, I wish I was there. The time I was there in Austin, I ate mostly the street food, the meat, the beef from there, the barbecue from the street. Next time I go, I'm definitely I want to get a nice variety of tastings that Austin has to offer, not just In-N-Out Burger either.
Do not miss the breakfast tacos. Breakfast tacos are the most wonderful invention on the face of this earth, and Austin is some of the best ones, particularly if you happen to visit one of the 14 Torchy Tacos in Austin. It used to be a food truck. It's now, like restaurants across Texas. My wife brought me back some from Houston. Torchy's Tacos, if you're in Austin.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'm so into barbecue. Holy hand grenades. They should make a movie about a white family that had to experience firsthand the destruction of their neighborhood by being spooky. All right. Yeah, I mean, this is the the question that I had when listening to it, or when you guys were talking about it, because is there a sympathy that needs to come to the white supremacists? And it's these lines, and it's these questions. It's pushing these lines that I always find interesting in storytelling. I think we're still trying to feel this out to where when it comes to social justice, it's easy to just say, okay, Nazis bad, white supremacists bad, and then where's the point where you try to find some kind of emotional attachment to them, or do you? I don't know. I've never.
You don't.
You don't, yeah.
No. In any sort of emotional attachment you may start to feel, you will go ahead and be incredibly sorry when you go ahead and see how everything ends up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, Fletcher Williams, Breakfast Tacos, Tex-Mex. Very good. Okay, here we're gonna go to one last movie. This is mine, and it is called Stay the Night. So, yeah, this is a romance rom-com. Stars Andrea Bang from Kim's Convenience. This is kind of, I think this is the natural step when you come off such a successful. I would call Kim's Convenience a successful yet often unknown television show, and Andrea was one of the big stars from it. Simu Liu is the big star to come out of it, and now it's kind of Andrea's turn. She's a really good actress. This is her, I assume, kind of the first big vehicle. It's a rom-com. She plays a woman who basically very wants. She has a job. She's in the human resources. She excels at it. She's very good at it, but she wants more out of life. And the movie opens with her trying to get a promotion, being put into sales, and her boss basically tells her that she'll never be able to go to sales because she's just not outgoing enough. She's not that personable kind of person. And you soon realize that she is more wrapped up in her work than she is at her personal life. On the other hand, there's the hockey player, her love interest. Let me quickly get the name here. Carter, played by Joe Scarpellino. And he's a hockey player who plays for Tampa Bay. And he just got cut. Not cut, but he's being sent back to the minors. And he's been put on waivers. So in the next 12 hours, unless another team picks him up, he's going to go back to the minors. And so Andrea's character, kind of a loner. She gets talked into going to a bar with her roommate, and at the bar she meets Carter, and they go back for a quick one-night stand until he realizes that she's a virgin, and that this is kind of where the rom-com aspect of the movie starts, where he can't go through with it because she's, it's kind of like one of those, as much as you want to have sex with this person, it's probably not a good idea. And this is kind of how the movie plays out. They explore kind of her inability to really make connections with people, to date, to find love. And he, on the other hand, is dealing with his own issues of just being sent down from the majors, going to the minor leagues, and dealing with the humiliation of that, and then also dealing with the fact that maybe his love of hockey is just not there anymore. And so you have these two main characters. It's a rom-com. You know exactly where it's going, and I think what makes this good is you don't exactly know where it's going, and I think that's how rom-coms work. You know the beginning, you know the ending, and it's how they get there along the way that makes it, a rom-com, makes it exciting, and just invokes those feelings of romance. And I don't think we talk a lot about romance anymore in films, because for some reason I think we've just made this world more complicated, and I like the fact that we're just kind of returning back to these things. All right, so yeah, any thoughts? Okay.
Hard to think about rom-coms sometime right there,
Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Are you guys much into rom-coms, or it's weird because you do want to kind of um it's movies are there to evoke emotions. We Batman evokes certain emotions, rom-coms evoke certain emotions. I mean, what are your general thoughts about that?
I like them myself because it's always fun to see sort of the Rubik's cube of how these two people are not going to or end up getting back together, or like somehow end up together when they're just so totally like not suited for each other. So yeah, I always enjoy that sort of aspect of the rom-coms, to where like you see them go through some sort of labyrinth in order to finally get to like be together for the rest of the like rest of their lives at the end of the movie. And like there's some laughs along the way. So yeah, honestly, I don't see what's there not to like about rom-coms. But without like seeing the but it's always a like how it's going to end. You just need to see how complicated the setup is, and then see like what kind make the hurdles that they have to go through worthwhile in order to be able to get through the puzzle at the end. Yeah, so they're fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love rom-coms. No genre is inherently better or worse than the other genre. There's bad documentaries, there are bad horror movies, and of course, there are really bad rom-coms. Conversely, you have some really great rom-coms that are just really sweet or fun, or what I like to call an anti-headache movie. You had a really hard day at work, you come home, you make dinner, you sit down, you put on one of these little things. By the end of it, your headache's gone, your belly's full of good food, and you had a good time. And that is what they're designed to do. And if done well, they can be a better escape kind of film than something that is fantasy but is really serious, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like them myself. Same as Bobby, but I would say kind of in a guilty pleasure sort of vein. I probably wouldn't admit it outside of this context, but I like weird ones. I like ones where it sneaks up on you that this is a rom-com. Like maybe you didn't sit down and thinking you were going to watch a rom-com, and there's that element in the story. I like that. But one of the weird things I do, one of the cynical things that I do, is I always ask myself after the movie ends, what are they doing a year later? Like, did this still work? Or did whatever that cute thing that you thought was really quirky, did like somebody wind up freaking out over that a year later? Was it not as funny, 2 years from now? So, and I think I've even put that in reviews, like, this is fantastic, but what happened a year later? But I just can't help thinking that. But yeah, generally speaking, if it's on and it's not obviously pandering or obviously manipulative, which they are, but you got to be clever about it, then I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, like this movie, it takes place over probably the course of about 9 hours, and is that really the foundation of a strong relationship? But who cares? I mean, that's the escapism that rom-coms have. Romance does seem kind of dead. Yeah, I've been noticing romance being taken. It's kind of going the way of comedies, ironically, where the last, the Moonfall. I think that's the first movie that. One of these disaster type movies where there is zero romance in that entire movie, and it stands out. It's something I noticed. Family romance is returning. Win a Trip to Browntown. That's right. I mean, great way to. Yeah, we love it. Go see. We had the director of Welcome to Browntown yesterday. Be sure to watch that video. Let me see. Let's see. I watched the trailer for this one. I didn't get why she got out in the hotel. Yeah, she was hanging out with her best friend encouraged her to go to a bar with her, so she didn't go alone. That's how she wound up there. Yeah, and I think there is some political correctness in romance, or it's kind of taking the fun out of it, so to speak. Because I think there's, again, there is that line you have to walk, and again, we want to play things safe. Let's see, and then I like the one with a fantasy backdrop. I remember the one with Hugh Jackman that's about a fountain of youth or something. Anyone remember what that one was?
But a
The Fountain.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
The Fountain?
Yeah, but is he referring to is this comment referring to rom-coms? Because I can't.
No,
That's
no,
definitely not
I
a
think
rom-com.
romance and fantasy.
Oh, then yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
would be
The
the
Fountain.
Fountain. Or Kate and Leopold. Either one's great.
Yeah, I liked Kate
Yeah.
and Leopold.
Okay, so it wasn't X-Men. Hallmark is alive and well. Yeah, there is a place for rom-coms. That's the Hallmark, and
But those are the bad ones usually. Not all of them. I've seen a few that are okay, but for the most part, those are the ones that are obviously cheesy, pandering, or just so full of plot holes. It's like if anybody stopped to talk to each other for 1 minute, there'd be no movie, kind of a thing.
Right.
Which are the most frustrating versions of this.
yeah.
I just recently reviewed a film from a filmmaker in Raleigh, North Carolina called Raleigh, I Kind of Like You. It's on Prime now.
Mhm.
And the city he was in love with the city. So it's about these romantic encounters between people, but he subverts that because it always goes sideways in some kind of bizarre way. The most fun vignette probably was where the people come to the bar thinking they're meeting a Tinder date, but each of them is the wrong person. Like they've been told by someone else, I was supposed to go meet this person, and neither of them is the person they thought they were meeting, and they didn't see a picture. And so that comes out in the conversation. Well, I'm not this person. And that's kind of fun and funny, but really his love affair was with Raleigh, and he does a good job of showing his city off, and it's an entertaining film.
Yeah. And I think rom-coms are also films that we relate to as people much more than any other. I think, for all of us, for the majority of us, falling in love is a big part of our experience. And we've been there. We've been through all the mistakes, all the foot and mouth moments, and almost crossing the finish line, making bets by losing weight. Let's see, Kate and Leopold. Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. Okay, so let's wrap it up here. Let's get some final thoughts about South by Southwest. Michael, what are your thoughts now that we're heading to the end of this festival?
I think next time I do South by Southwest, it's gonna have to be in person. Because it's still, it really is an in-person festival, and Slam Dance, I think, is now pretty much the premier virtual festival, because that was just wall-to-wall fun, and all of the program being available for 10 days instead of it being blocked into sections, and everyone being able to access it for a low price, I think is a great virtual festival, which anyone, across the world, I don't know if they block them outside the US, but anyone all over the world would be glad to see that. South by Southwest is an in-person festival. It doesn't have the chops yet for a virtual experience. If I had gone ahead and just did a film pass and did it only virtually, I wouldn't feel like I had gotten the worth out of it like I did with Slam Dance. And yeah, it just honestly just made me hungry for, because I went to South by Southwest for 10 years back in starting in like 95, and went pretty close to 10 years, not 10 years in a row, like 8 years, and then 2 years virtually after that. But yeah, I was it needs to be done in person, and I think we're going to go ahead and try to do it in person next year.
Yeah, I know I want to. We have a super chat. Hey, Chris Gore, what happened at the Lost City screening last night? Yeah, that's
Why is Chris $4.99?
I know, $4.99. What's up with that? Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, definitely got to see it. And if you're a fan of Sandra Bullock, I think you're in for a good time. Before we get to, I should have asked this, but what was your favorite movie this year from South by Southwest? Bobby.
The Pez Outlaw, without a doubt. It is
Outlaw?
The Pez Outlaw. Yeah, spectacular in every way.
Yeah, I think we're going to be posting. It's on the last live stream. And I think I'm going to post the review of that pretty soon. Brad, what was your favorite?
I liked this, the one I just reviewed, A Lot of Nothing. I would say that was my favorite.
Yeah, that one looks good. Real quick, Michael, which one was your favorite?
Slashback. Oh my God, Slashback is so much fun. You know what? Girls up in the Arctic fighting off blood-sucking aliens. It is pure popcorn in the best way.
Yeah.
Definitely Slashback.
Girls, Arctic, and aliens. That's a great combination. Mine, Kids in the Hall. Been a big fan of theirs for a long time. I love that one. But I did like the documentary Clean, just because it's such a heartbreaking story, and such an interesting story about people who clean up murder scenes. Okay, so again, real fast, final thoughts, Bobby.
This year was disappointing, but really based on the strength of last year's virtual South by, I would happily do this again. Virtually, if for some reason we can't or I can't make it out there live next year, I would still totally do this virtually.
All right. And Brad, your thoughts?
I got really lucky with the films this year. I didn't get to see as many films as I wanted to, but the ones I did were fantastic. Also, I really love these conversations where I get to hear about films I didn't get to see with you guys. So that's a big plus. I enjoyed it. South by Southwest has been on my bucket list for all of my adult life that I've been aware of the film festival. Next year, I'm going to find a way to go. Hopefully it's with this crew. I want the breakfast tacos. Also, you mentioned the in-person experience. Kids in the Hall was there. One of my heroes from way back when, Mojo Nixon, was there. I reviewed his film, which was supposed to premiere at South by 2 years ago. It didn't come out, but he released it to DVD. But they actually showed the film, and he was there a couple of nights ago. And I was like, I wanted to meet Mojo. So anyway, next year, going to South by and having breakfast tacos.
It's funny because this is your second year covering South by Southwest, and you've still never been.
I want to
we got a super sticker from Fletcher. Thank you very much. Super chats are back. That's amazing. They've been gone for a while. Let's see. What's the title of the movie with the aliens again? Oh, yeah. Slash
and then a slash and then back.
Yeah, slash back. Chris Gore says, thanks, Fletcher. Holy Hand Grenade is sending us tacos. We all want to sit next to Alan. Yeah, that was I have no idea what was up with that woman. She just so insistent. I do not want to sit here. We need to move. I do not want to sit here. That's and I'm just like, okay, thanks. I'm just assuming that maybe she didn't want to sit in this particular row I was in, and maybe it wasn't about me. We got the chicks tacos. Hail the mighty Gore. Thanks. We are doing we got some beer going on here. Which reminds me, we will also be at WonderCon this year. So be sure to join us there. You can hang out with us. And with that, hey, South by Southwest. I can't wait to be back. I'm hoping to go next year. More likely you guys are. And with that, need to cue this damn video up. All right. And with that, let's get out of here. Oops.
Get out of here.
I got it. I know what I'm doing. Let's this is where I'm unable. I gotta pull these things off, get it cleaned. There we go. How you like that? Well-oiled machine. Let's get out of here.